Hi guys, Jay Smith here. Welcome to the AskGolfNut channel and welcome to Cobra DARKSpeed irons review. Cobra's understanding of how they're going to go into 2024 for the game improvement and distance sector. Because when I say distance sector, these are fairly strong lofted and the lofts are up on the screen there. The 8 iron in my hands is 31.5 degrees. That's 2.5 degrees stronger than my current 7 iron. So they are relatively raw in the old lofts. Now I've got the 8 iron and the pitching wedge here that I'm going to test on camera. I've also got the 6 iron by the side of me and I'm going to be testing that off of camera because I want to be doing this all at different speeds. Now on camera, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the simulator on and I'm going to be hitting these into a green to see how they look, feel and perform. But I'm going to be doing this at a medium speed, and then off of camera I'll also be testing all of these out at a faster swing speed. My normal 7 iron swing speed is around 91, 92 miles an hour fully warmed up, but I'm also going to be testing these at a much reduced swing speed to cater for the guys that don't swing 7 irons at that kind of speed and swing in the 70s, etc. These will perform differently for different golfers depending on how fast you swing. And I've lost count how many times golfers have said to me, Jay, why does my 4 or 5 iron go the same distance? Or why does my 5 and 6 iron go the same distance? Well, there's a reason for that, and we'll get into the functionality of flight, etc. and control into a green at the end of the video. Inside this head, if you ever wanted to know where your money goes, I'm going to put the information up on the screen now and you'll see exactly where your money goes with this thing. This is full, absolutely full of tech. It's a variable thickness, cast 17.4 stainless steel power shell face. Effectively, you've got a 1.5 millimeter thick. 1.5 millimeters thick for a face is ridiculously thin. You've got a power bridge internal weight. That's Cobra's understanding of how to try and get the mass, or the CG, the center of gravity, as low and as far back as possible to try and make this as forgiving and high launching as possible. You have got foam filled. It's foam filled 924D, whatever that is. If you do not do anything with that, if you just keep it hollow bodied, it will sound like a hybrid and it will put golfers off. So to try and give it a little bit of feel, sound, pleasantness when you hit it, they fill it with foam or fill it with different, other manufacturers have come up with different ideas to do the same thing, but effectively that's what it does. And you have got that ABS stroke aluminium medallion at the back. And I would say this for golfers. For golfers, I have seen this done on a few times at a golf course over the years, and they've used the back of the golf club to hit out of rough if they're trying to recovery or something like that. I'm not entirely certain how well that ABS stroke aluminium medallion at the back will put up with being whacked by a golf ball. So just have that in your head. You can see by the cross-sectional area of this thing. It's a mighty complicated golf club, and so that is where your money goes in understanding trying to get this thing as forgiving, as high launching and as fast as possible to get you the distance that you want from your irons. So let's go get the simulator on. Let's go test the 8 iron and the pitching wedge. Let's go start with the pitching wedge first to see how they look, feel and perform into a green. Simulator is now on. I have the pitching wedge in hand and I am at the Farms, hole 5. It's a par 3 of 128 yards. It's up by 7 feet. And so the pitching wedge is 42 degrees and it is the equivalent of my 9 iron. So it is rather strong lofted. But again, when you're talking about this kind of category of golf club, that's not uncommon anymore. And so looks on this thing, we have the dark grey, brown grey look with the black and chrome medallion. And as a game improvement iron, I must say this, it is possibly my favourite of everything. It just, from a dark finish point of view, it just looks really quite nice. The dimensions on this golf club aren't small. I mean, if you look at top lines are relatively thick, but because they're curved and how they catch the light, they look actually thinner than they actually are. If you look at the sole plate, the sole is not thin. It's a fairly thick sole, but it's got little chamfered edges on the side there, and it just makes it look smaller than it actually is. Obviously the colour makes it look slightly smaller than it actually is, and there isn't a huge amount of offset. Like down by the golf ball, there's not a huge amount of offset there. So actually, for a game improvement iron, it does look quite nice. Right, let's go give it a hit and see how well it goes. I'm going to do this at a medium-ish speed, and then, well, see how well it works into a green. Fine. God, my word. Yep, so hit fairly well, 80 miles an hour, 80.4. Path and face were fairly okay, and then strike was bob on. 30 yards in the air and 49 degrees descent angle. It just does good. It feels good. I've hit this quite a few times already because I've had these for a while and I really like hitting these. The feel you get from this is not a typical crack, like a firecracker going off. It's a really interesting punch that you get from this, and it's quite addictive. It's not obviously soft. Let's get feel out the equation. So for people that don't care about feel, just ignore it. But for the people that do care about feel and sound, or they're both the same thing, it gives a really addictive hit. I could honestly play these. I don't know. I'd still go back to my blades because my blades look shiny and small and everything, but just these are so much fun to use. I mean, that's not middle by no stretch of the imagination. But you can hit them wherever you want. It doesn't matter. My face was open, that's why I went right. But look at that, 15 mil hill, 5 mil low. Who cares? It just goes wherever you want it to go. And so you don't have to worry about making good contacts. You can hit it anywhere you want, and it will still do a good job. There we go. I'm having fun now, just saying how bad you can hit it. Slightly off to the right, look at that strike. Who cares? This is how good these are. Now, is it going to be because of the power shell, all that weighting system inside? I don't know. I mean, obviously there's 42 degrees of loft on here, so without messing around, it's going to be forgiven because of loft. But what I'm saying is you will not get away with this from a blade. Absolutely not. You could not mess around like this. Let's hit another, well, let's hit a fairly decent shot this time. Trying to keep speed somewhat down. Trying to concentrate a bit more, have a better strike. It's 3 mil high, that is it. And it's 29 yards in the air, 48 degrees descent angle, spinning at 7.3, it's fine. Now, 7.3 may not seem very much. Remember, this is for me, this is my 9-iron. My 9-iron spins around about 8.3, 8.4. Now I'm swinging, not slowly, but I'm swinging at 80 miles an hour, 81 miles an hour for a medium swing speed golfer. If I was to start swinging a little bit faster as I normally do, one, you can see distance go up, peak height goes up, descent angle goes up, but spin now goes 7.8. And so, and I've had these pop over 8,000 frequently, not by much, and these won't spin as much as my blades, of course they won't do. The center of gravity's lower on this, so you're gonna get a little bit of vertical gearing, but that thing's going 37 yards in the air and 52 degrees descent angle. I will not be able to get that from my blade unless I really try and artificially change its flight. It just works really, really well. This thing is possibly my favorite game improvement iron to date because it feels just so nice, and you can mess around, hit at some weird and wonderful spots. More on forgiveness later, but you can whack it in weird and wonderful spots and just absolutely get away with it. Right, let's go over to the 8-iron. Let's probably not mess around so much because 8-irons has a little bit less loft, 31.5 degrees. And let's go see how that does. Data set now changed. We're at the same hole. I've just dragged the old tee further back. Now, I can't drag it any further forward, unfortunately, because if not, we'll be in the bushes. And 170 yards is definitely not capable for an 8-iron, even if it is at 31.5 degrees. Now I'm going to try and swing around about the mid 80s, low to mid 80s, to try and make it a little bit more reflective to a mid swing speed player. The 8-iron that I've got in my hand here looks exactly the same basically as the pitching wedge that I've just hit, but with less loft. The only thing I would say is if you look at the pitching wedge from the offset point of view, there's hardly any offset there. Go to an 8-iron and you can see it definitely as you go down by the golf ball. You can see that there's a fraction more offset. If you go to the 6-iron, which I'm not going to be hitting, I'll do that off of camera, it's got more offset. So it's a progressive offset throughout the set. The top lines, no different. They look exactly the same as the pitching wedge with that curvature. It's fairly thick, but you don't see it because of the curvature of the top line. No different to the sole. The sole's got that little chamfer at the back. Now, Cobra will probably turn around and say that's for turf interaction, etc. But it shows up as a sole plate, which doesn't look as thick as it actually is. Blade lengths, again, they are game improvement iron, but they're not big. And coupled with the fact that you've got that color, which makes it look a little bit smaller, makes it look nicer. Right, let's go whack it into the hole and see how well it does. Front edge of the green is absolutely fine because I'm going to be swinging at a slower swing speed. .82.5 miles an hour, decent delivery, slightly low on the face, slightly toey. It's just good. 156 was that carry? 156 carry. Quad says 159 because we are hitting uphill slightly, so there's a difference, but 44 degrees ascent angle, 29 yards in the air. It's absolutely fine. Spinning at around about 5.7. Now people might think, oh, 5.7 is not very good. Now for an 8-iron, shouldn't that be spinning at 8,000? What years ago used to be 1,000 RPM for every number that you had. Well, that's when lofts were distinctly weaker than they are nowadays. Now, again, this does say 8, but it's not an 8 from a point of view of loft, especially traditionally loft, it is 31.5 degrees. So that's more like within half a degree my 6. And so if you think my 6-iron spins at around about 5,500 RPM, 5.7, something like that, it's exactly the same. It goes with loft. And so it's doing exactly what it should do for the loft that it is, not the number that it is. And this is at 83 miles an hour. If I start swinging faster, it would go up. But that's not the whole idea. Whole idea is to swing a little bit slower so guys can understand how well it works. That's at 80 miles an hour. Path is slightly across, face is 0.3. I just saw it on quad there. Strike wasn't plumb on, 9mm heel, but it's doing absolutely fine. The feel of this golf club as well. It's 44 degrees ascent angle. Again, you saw it stops on any green, even at 81 miles an hour, 80.8. It's just good. Now, this is possibly, I'm swinging maybe 9 miles an hour slower than my normal. And so we are talking about a distinct distance loss because of the nearly 10 mile an hour swing speed differential. But the feeling on this golf club is just really very, very nice. Cobra have made a really nice feeling set of irons here, considering these are game improvement. Now, whether that's microspheres, I don't know, but what it actually means at the end, it's a really very good product. Right, one more time, let's swing at a kind of similar speed. Slightly faster. Oh no, slightly slower, 80.3. But I'm trying to, it's not easy to necessarily dial your speed around and keep delivery. Fairly the same. Path is 0, face is fractionally open. Strike was a little bit better that time, 29 yards in the air and 45 degrees ascent angle. So that's 80 miles an hour, and that's 31.5 degree golf club is more than functional. Now, okay, at 80 miles an hour, the chances are I go to a 7-iron and possibly that would be my last golf club in the bag before I start going into something like a hybrid. But by that point, you're going in 160 yards carry. Your next golf club, your next hybrid or so is going to be about 170 or so carry, which is a decent gapping as soon as you go into the big stuff. Talking about all the speeds and everything, I'm going to be testing the pitching wedge, the 8-iron and this 6-iron that I've got by the side of me at different speeds. Let's ramp up the speed to my normal speed and then I'll take the speed right back down again to a slow swing speed player to see at what point these Cobra DARKSpeed irons become non-functional. We'll also do the forgiveness testing as well. We'll whack it all over the face and just see how they get on. Right guys, after hitting loads of shots with the DARKSpeed irons in the pitching wedge, the 8-iron and the 6-iron, but at 2 different speeds. We did the mid-speed just now on camera, so I've hit this at my normal speed, which is equivalent of around about 92 miles an hour with a 7-iron, and I've also done the slow swing speed test at the low 70s as well, because they do react differently depending on what kind of speed you are. So let's go have a look at the information. I have got all the tabular data and stuff like that. There is so much information. I'm not going to put it up on the screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the ball and club comparison on the screen because it is graphical and it will give you a little bit of an understanding, a better understanding, rather than having to deal with numbers. So fast swing speed player first, as in me. And so then we'll move into what it looks like when you start taking speed away. Pitching wedge goes 134 yards, 8-iron goes 169. Yes, that is a 35-yard gap. DARKSpeed 6-iron then goes 198, which is basically a 30-yard gap. 35 yards gap between your pitching wedge and your 8-iron is effectively 17.5 yards, 18 yards or so. And so 18-yard gaps between golf clubs for me at my speed is mental. It's just too much. And so really, although very impressive, like mightily impressive having a 6-iron 200 yards, 170 yard 8 irons and stuff like that. Although impressive, not necessarily overly functional for me. The flights are functional, they're going in nice and high, and even the 6 iron is stopping on a green at 44.9 or 44.8 degrees or whatever it was. If you look at the club data for that, it's 86 miles an hour for the pitching wedge, 90 miles an hour for the 8 iron, and 94 miles an hour for the 6 iron. You can see by the lofts and everything else like the same, apart from the fact that the lofts will come down and the attack angle reduces, but that's no different because you're moving ball position further forward to help and encourage launch. You are going to be slightly shallower on your attack angle, and then of course you help with your dynamic loft a fraction, but that's commonplace and that's what, generally speaking, everyone does. Let's go into the slow swing speed, because as soon as you start taking swing speed off, and I've done this test at equivalent under 75 miles an hour 7 iron, 71 miles an hour for an 8 iron kind of area, it does change things a little bit. Because you have got that 10.5 degree loft gap between the pitching wedge and 8 iron, you're looking at pitching wedge here at 101 and then the 8 iron at 133. That's 32 yards, which is 16 yards gap. The only thing I would say on this is because these are fairly optimal of how you can deliver loft, you can deliver face, and in 3-dimensional plane with strike as well, these are as optimal as you're going to get. In the real world, what happens is golfers don't deliver the same way as I do. They don't deliver a straight path to a straight face to a straight strike in the middle, and then also deliver the right amount of loft as well. What we find in the real world, golfers move around their strike, golfers move around their head delivery in compromising face angle and also loft. So in real world terms, when you put this in the hands of a less efficient golfer, these loft gaps, these distance gaps between irons will reduce. So even though we see 32 yards between a pitching wedge and 8, which is effectively 16 yards between the 9 and the 8 and the pitching wedge and the 9, which would be too much, you will find in the real world this will come down. And so this is more working down the 12 yards or so, 12 to 13 yards, I would say, as an average normal player. Even the 6 iron, you can see, going 156 yards, now 21 yards further. At this speed, you can see that the gapping doesn't remain the same. And so what happens is we get to a point of what I said on camera, why does the 5 and 6 iron go the same carry and stuff like that? It's because of functionality of flight. You can see with that blue line is going in like a ballistic missile. And even though the red and the yellow is arguably functional, absolutely no problem with that, as soon as you go to a 6 iron, we haven't got enough speed for the loft that we are delivering and the launch angle and the ball speed, etc. So the ball starts to fall out of the air. And if you look at that spin rate at 3.2, I would argue that 3,200 is arguably bordering on the lines of non-functional for a 6 iron, because we've taken speed away. And of course, if you get a blade of grass between the club face and the ball at 3,200, that's now going into the 2s, which is effectively a driver. And so we are not going to have the ball speed, and that ball is going to fall out of the sky. So anyone swinging, I would say, at 70 miles an hour, the 7 iron, because the 7 iron is going to be the golf club which you are going to test when you get custom fit. I would definitely not be thinking about using a 6 iron unless you want to skip a 6 iron, go for a 5 iron and have it as your driving iron, because that 5 iron is 21 degrees and will serve that purpose well. But I wouldn't be using this off the deck. But that's why I do these slower and fast and mid-swing speed tests, because you guys need to know how it's going to work for you. And if at one point a golf club becomes non-functional, I would say absolutely, with that reduced peak height and the absolute shallowness of that blue line, like that 6 iron at a very slow swing speed is not exactly what you call preferable. Talking about swing speeds, you've got 67, 71, 75 for the swing speeds of that, which will equivalent to be 73 miles an hour or so. With a 7 iron, again, the 7 iron is going to be the one you test in custom fit. And of course, again, we're looking at the attack angle reducing slightly as the dynamic loft changes. That's normal with ball position, as I've said before. And of course, within reason, all the other angles are fairly close, and strike is fairly close as well. So let's go into the forgiveness side of things, because this golf club is a game improvement iron, and we need to know what happens when you hit it all over the face. And because we all hit over the face from time to time, we caught some information from the pitching wedge up on camera for a bit of fun to see how much or how forgiving this golf club can be in the pitching wedge, especially because obviously loft is primarily your biggest winner when you're talking about mishits. When you have that much loft, that will be more forgiving. As soon as you start taking loft away though, you need a little bit more help from the technology within the heads. I've got a 6 iron first, maxed out. We've got this one right out the screws, 0, so we can understand how well this golf club works when you whack it right out the middle, so we have a understanding of how good it gets, and then we can see how much the drop-offs are. Efficiency is 1.41. Face and path are very 0, and of course you have the strike out the screws at an efficiency of 1.41. I have done this at my normal speed-ish, guys. I won't lie. Learning how to miss-hit a golf club on purpose and keeping delivery exactly how you want it is not easy. It's a skill that I've had to learn over quite some time doing it. Trying to do that and also changing my speed, good luck. No, that's not happening. So when it comes to this forgiveness stuff, I've done it at more of a normalish speed because it's easier for me to do. But it's doing really well. Of course, it would do out the middle. 1.41 efficiency is really very, very good. Okay, 14 millimeters heel, 4 mil low. Here we go, 1.35. We have a drop of 0.06. Face is open by 1 more degree than the maxed out, so we do have to be aware of that. As soon as you have an open face, or more open face than square, you do get more of a glance rather than a punch, and so anytime you have an open face, it will affect the efficiency slightly. But it's done really well, considering that he's 18 millimeters off of the middle gross. It's done exceptionally well. Remember, this is a 6 iron. 14 millimeters toe, 7 mil low now. We have a face which is square, 1.36. So we've dropped 0.05, but it's 21 millimeters away from the middle gross. That is mental. This 6 iron has got some, I mean, it's got a very, very, very fast face. There's some technology in that face to really try and get the variable face thickness, so when you don't hit the middle, it is giving you some extra punch. That extra punch would otherwise potentially be illegal if that was in the middle, because obviously ball speeds, etc. Like, we won't go into the rules and regulations, etc. But that's why it has variable face thickness. Then a normal out of the toe, 11 mil toe, 2 mil high, 1.39. Path and face are basically 0, and 1.39. 0.02 off of perfect, and that is 13 millimeters gross away, which is half an inch off the middle. So again, on these golf clubs, you can hit anywhere you want, really. If you're going to be darting in and around the middle, it's going to do exactly what you ask it to do. And you don't have to hit it out the middle. You can be quite away from the middle and still get away with it. You can also hit it off of really bad parts and get away with it far more than you would expect. These are very forgiving irons. Right, we'll go to the 8 iron now, max straight out the middle. Okay, 1 mil high and 2 mil heel, so within reason, fairly close to middle. 1.34 efficiency. Now, if you look at the 10 mil heel, 1 mil high, so a normal heel. That is not massively heel, that's not terrible, that is a normal heel strike. 1.33, we've lost 0.01, yeah. Nothing, effectively. It's basically lost nothing whatsoever from a 10 mil heel strike. If you go to a 6 mil toe, 10 mil low. Now 10 mil low on the face is actually quite low, 1.33. Has got a fraction closed face, so you have to be aware of that. It might be a 1.32 if you take that slightly closed face away. But again, it's losing 0.02 from 16 millimeters away from the middle gross. It's just good, like properly good. 12 mil toe, 1 mil high, and 1 mil high, another half an inch off the middle, but it's toe, and 1.31 with a 2 degree open face. So you have to be aware it's a 2 degree open face, or a degree or so open more than the previous one. So 1.32, 1.33, let's say 1.32 would be fair. So it's 0.02 off. It's just, you can hit these golf clubs off of weird and wonderful spots and still get away with absolutely normal shots. You wouldn't really see any differences in flight whatsoever, any differences in carry whatsoever. They are just that good. 25 millimeters toe, 5 mil low, 30 millimeters off of middle. Path and face are fairly good, but we have dropped down to 1.26. And so that is about 0.08 or so off of a perfect shot, but from 30 millimeters away from the middle, wow, that Cobra DARKSpeed iron is mighty forgiving. That is a properly good result. So to conclude to a certain extent, I would say if you go looks and feel wise, for me, this is absolutely subjective, but I would say for me, it's darker look. It makes all the lines, the top lines, the sole thickness, the blade lengths, everything look smaller than it actually is. And so you've got all the help there. I mean, you've got so much tech in it, it's mental. But it looks and feels, for a game improvement iron, really quite good. They do sound really very good for a game improvement iron, and they look really good as well. Performance, Again, it all depends what speed you're going to swing. If you're going to be swinging at my speed or even faster, I mean, I've custom fit guys that swing 7-irons over 100 miles an hour. You are not going to be in the bracket for using these golf clubs. The loft caps on these golf clubs are too strong, they're too big, and they are not going to suit. Regardless if you need the help from off-center hits, these golf clubs are not going to be the ones for you because they are too strong in the loft caps. These golf clubs are designed for the big chunk of the triangle of golfers that need help with distance and need help with forgiveness. You do have to be aware though, if you are in that bracket also, that when you're testing these, and chances are you're going to be custom fitting and demoing these in the 7-iron at 27 degrees, that if you are very slow in your swing speed, 7-iron may be your last golf club. You don't have to have a 6, you don't have to have a 5, and you definitely don't have to have a 4-iron, but definitely if you're going to be in the market for a distance helping and forgiving and decent looking golf club, definitely I think you're going to have to put the Cobra DARKSpeed irons on the list to test. So hope you liked the video. If you did, thumbs up. Go on YouTube, like so do I. Down there is a subscribe button. It's free and it's great for the channel if you could subscribe, so thank you. And next to that is a bell icon. If you click that one, that's a notification bell. It will let you know next time I upload another video. So I hope you're well. We'll see you again soon.